Hi there. It's time for some notes. These are your digestive system notes. So, as you know, you need to hear it, you need to see it, you need to write it, and then read it. So, have a split screen and be writing in as we discuss these together. So, your digestive system includes all these body parts that you see pictured here. So, I have one that you can see where everything is located, and then over here you have one that you can see where everything is labeled. So use those as we go through. Let's talk about the two kinds of digestion that are in the body. So you've learned there are two types of changes, physical and chemical changes. You've learned about those. It's the same idea that applies through digestion, but it's called something a little different. The first one is called mechanical digestion. So let's write that in. Mechanical. So that means that the foods are physically broken down into smaller pieces. Physically broken down into smaller pieces. And the other type is called chemical. Therefore, chemicals are going to be produced by the body, such as something called enzymes, and we're going to spell that together. E-N-Z-Y-M-E-S. Enzymes. So enzymes and acids are used in the body to chemically break foods down into smaller molecules. And just so you know, enzymes, we're going to be mentioning those more than once, and they're substances that speed up a chemical reaction. So I'm going to write that in just so you have a little definition here. Enzymes are substances that speed up chemical reactions. Next, we're going to go and talk about the functions of the digestive system and what the digestive system does for us. Besides, I know you think of it just eating food, but there's three parts of it. The first one is that the digestive system breaks down food into molecules for the body to use. Breaks down food into molecules for the body to use. The second function is the molecules that have been broken down are absorbed. A-B-S-O-R-B-E-D. They are absorbed into the blood and carried throughout the body. So again, we have right there, the other system is helping us, is circulatory, because it's going to take these nutrients to deliver to all the cells. And number 3, our bodies aren't able to digest everything we take in, so they're going to be considered waste. And so wastes need to get out of our body. We're going to say they need to be eliminated. Wastes are eliminated from the body. So to do the functions in 3 easy words, you are going to write this little flow map. The functions are digestion, absorption, and elimination. Those are the 3 functions in 3 words. The digestive system has several body parts. Some of these parts the food will be moving through, and some of them the food never touches. They don't go through, but they help in digestion. So I know that they're all listed, but let's go through them. And you're going to look on the diagram as well. So you have the mouth, and in the mouth, you're going to have your teeth and tongue to help with the food. Then you have your epiglottis. Epiglottis, I have a picture over here, and we're going to label it. So the epiglottis is a flap of tissue that is in your pharynx area, your throat area, where it will cover your trachea, your windpipe, when you swallow. Because remember, as in the respiratory system, it was mentioned that you can only have clean, dry air going down that trachea. So the epiglottis is there to protect it. You have those two pipes down in your chest area. You have the trachea and you have an esophagus, which we're going to talk about. But the esophagus is the tube that the food goes down. So the epiglottis will, whenever you swallow, will switch over and cover the trachea and let the food or drink or liquid be swallowed down your esophagus. Next you have salivary glands. So here's your salivary glands. There you can see where they're located in your face, and they produce enzymes that help break down starches. The esophagus. Okay, so this is a really good picture to show you both tubes in your chest area and how they start up here in the mouth and the pharynx area and then go down. So the esophagus and this is something you do need to know. It pushes food down. So and then it pushes, it squeezes it down. And this is called peristalsis. 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 So that's the process of the food being pushed in one direction. So whenever you do swallow something, it doesn't just do a free fall from your mouth to your stomach. It's being squeezed down into your stomach. All right. The liver, over here is the liver. It's the heaviest, densest organ inside the body. The stomach is a J-shaped muscular pouch. And you can see it right here is the stomach. It's in your upper left part of your body. The liver is in your upper right, and your stomach is your upper left of your body. The gallbladder. The gallbladder is going to be this green. It's always green. It's going to be green in every diagram if it's colored correctly. But it sits kind of below the liver, but it's right there, the gallbladder. Pancreas. You've already talked about pancreas and studied pancreas in the endocrine system. It's usually yellow and bumpy. So there's the pancreas. And it helps in digestion because it controls the amount of glucose in the body, the levels of glucose. Large intestine and small intestine, rectum, anus. So this one that goes around, it's shorter, but it's bigger around in circumference, so that's the large intestine. The small intestine's inside it. It is longer, but smaller around. And then the rectum is right here, and then the anus is down here. And you can see over here on this diagram that they're all labeled. Small intestine is coiled up inside, large intestine is around it, and the rectum, and then the anus. So those are all the body parts that are in the digestive system. All right, moving on. Oh, and I did put the large intestine. It's also known as the colon, just so you can see that's the large intestine. And where the liver is, that was the other picture, where the liver sits, in which I like this picture because you can see that the system we did last week with the respiratory system, circulatory, and that your lungs are right here, and your heart, and then your liver and stomach, and then it goes down to your intestines. Okay, next thing. The organs of the digestive system are equal to about 9 meters in length. 9 meters. if it was completely stretched out. So 9 meters, I looked it up earlier. It was about 27 feet. In America we think feet, but so just to give you an idea, 27 feet. If it's completely stretched out. The reason it can fit all into our bodies is because it overlaps. Things are layered upon layered, and it's coiled around, all stuffed inside the body, neatly packed. So let's do the path of food through the body, how the food is actually moving through your body. These are the body parts that it will actually pass through. First of all, it starts in your mouth. Then it goes down the esophagus. That's your food tube. In that process, again, that food is pushed and squeezed down with muscle contractions is peristalsis. And that's in the esophagus. Then the food's going to go to the stomach. Next it goes to the small intestine. Then the large intestine. Then the rectum. And the anus. That is where it will leave the body. What's left of it. Okay, so there's your path of food through the body flow map. Mechanical digestion. It takes place you'll have breaking of the food physically in the mouth and the stomach. I know you're thinking, oh, what about stomach acid? That's chemicals. Well, we're going to get to that, what the physical part of digestion is in the stomach. So the teeth tear and grind up the food to make smaller, and the stomach muscles, what they do mechanically to the food is they churn the food, and that's C-H-U-R-N. They churn the broken food using 3 strong layers of smooth muscles to squeeze the food and mix it with fluids. Squeeze. The mouth and stomach and small intestine chemically digest the food to break it down even more. The mouth uses the salivary glands that produce enzymes to break down starches in foods. Your starches would be like in your carbohydrates, like your crackers and chips and breads. The stomach uses stomach acid, such as, you see the HCl, that stands for hydrochloric acid. So it uses a very strong acid to chemically break down the food you eat. To chemically break down the food you eat. Now, your stomach, it has all this acid it's dealing with, very strong acid that would burn a hole through your skin. The reason your stomach is protected is because the stomach lining, the cells reproduce very quickly, and it's covered in a mucus coating to help protect it from the acid. So the stomach acid is used to chemically break down the food you eat, and then it changes the food into a very thick liquid. And now in science we call that something called chyme. And the way you spell chyme, again, science, we're going to use the CH, like we did with trachea and bronchi, is going to be C-H-Y-M-E. And it's pronounced chyme. I put the little pronunciation for you to help you remember. It's chyme. And that's the thick liquid after your food has been digesting and being chemically and mechanically broken down in the stomach. It's now called chyme. Most chemical digestion is actually going to take place in the small intestine. So that way it can break the chyme down even smaller molecules. We have to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the reason being that food keeps having to go through all these different structures to be broken down mechanically and chemically is because your food has to be small enough to be able to be absorbed. And it's going to be absorbed through the small intestine walls and into, think about what takes the nutrients to all the cells. It's going to get into the blood. So at this point, it takes about 6 to 8 hours after you eat your food to make its way to the end of the small intestine. As the chyme moves through the small intestine, the gallbladder releases a substance called bile, B-I-L-E, bile. It's made by the liver to physically break fat particles into smaller pieces. So the liver is going to make this bile, this substance that's physically breaking down fat particles. It doesn't chemically break it up. It's just like chopping it up into smaller pieces with this bile substance. The pancreas produces enzymes. The pancreas produces enzymes that flow into the small intestine to break down starches, proteins, and fats. So the pancreas is actually producing a chemical because it has enzymes to help chemically break down starches, proteins, and fats. Once the chyme is broken down small enough, it's going to be teeny, teeny, tiny. Nutrients will then be absorbed through the walls of the small intestine and into the blood. So these pictures coming up, these are showing you pictures of the inside of the small intestine, okay? The small intestine is lined with millions of finger-like projections called villi, and that is spelled V-I-L-L-I, V-I-L-L-I, with the pronunciation for you, villi. The villi have capillaries inside of them. Capillaries. We talked about them in their last body system, the circulatory system, and that they're our tiniest blood vessels, and that their walls are very, very thin because wherever they're located typically is because there's going to be something absorbed through them. That's how things enter the blood and get out of the blood. So the villi have capillaries inside them, so nutrients are absorbed through the villi and into the blood to be taken to all of the body cells. So you can really see, here's the inside of a small intestine tube. You can really see it looks like a nice carpet there. Those are millions of villi, so the nutrients can be absorbed into the blood. And again, here's a microscopic picture to show you how each villus is aligned with blood vessels, the capillaries. So that is how it gets into the blood. Okay, next. The large intestine is the last section of the digestive system. The large intestine. It's also known as the colon. The large intestine is the last section. So when what you've eaten has made its way to the large intestine, at this point, most nutrients have already been absorbed into the blood when it reaches the large intestine. So all that is left is undigested material. Undigested material and some water. And some water. So the water, because our cells do need water, we want to try to take all the water we have in our bodies to be given to our cells. So if there is any water at this point, it's going to be absorbed back into the body, and all that's left is undigested material, and makes its way to the end of the long intestine known as the rectum. So the waste material is then compressed into a solid form. And yes, this is going to be your poop. And it's in the rectum. It's like a holding tank for your solid waste. And then your nervous system gets a message saying, hey, you have some solid waste here. You need to release it. And it'll exit through a muscular opening called the anus. So this whole digestive process, from eating to breaking down and absorbing and compressing the waste into solid form, can take up to 36 hours. Some people's digestive tracts are faster, some are slower, but that's an average. There's one more thing. So there's a homeostasis example. I can give you, and it's when you vomit. When you vomit, it's because you have an irritant in your stomach and it needs to get out. So vomiting, when you throw up, vomiting is a response to an irritant in your stomach. And it helps you get back into homeostasis. Same thing with diarrhea. At that point, it's because you have an irritant that's made its way to the small intestine, and everything is just, you get a message in your a nerve impulse into your brain saying this needs to get out of the body right now. And so that's why it's very watery, because your body did not have time to absorb the water. It's trying to get it out of your body as quick as possible. So those times that you are vomiting because you have an irritant in your stomach, or diarrhea because you have an irritant in your intestines, is because your body is saying get it out to get you back into homeostasis. All right, there is a link here. It's a DK Find Out link. It is interactive, and you can go to it and you can see that it's going to be having all the different parts of the digestive system and just more information, and showing you where exactly you can find those parts. And then lastly, if you want more practice, there's a brace map with the different body parts and what they do for the body. So if you have some time, this is a great tool for you to practice and write the body parts that it's describing, and see how these are accessory organs. That means that they help in digestion, but the food never passes through. And then, just to let you know, you can check your answers, but I would suggest you do it first without looking at the answers, to see how you do. All right, those are your digestive system notes. Please have them completely filled in and checked and reread and practiced so that you're ready to apply them later. Thanks, guys.